Good evening, friends. This is Dr. John WorldPeace JD. JD standing for Doctor of Jurisprudence. I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a PhD. It's September the 27th, 7:54 p.m. in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Tonight I want to talk about the Kavanaugh hearing. I watched it A to Z, beginning to end. Never got up really to do anything except just watch the unfolding hearing and the commentary in between or during the breaks. Bottom line, Kavanaugh is finished. He's dead meat. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I expect that Donald Trump will withdraw the nomination by tweet tonight, somewhere around 3 a.m. Washington time. The most interesting thing to me was the hatred that the Republicans have for Dianne Feinstein. They hammered her and hammered her and hammered her about holding on to Dr. Ford's letter and then at the last minute making it public through some kind of leak. The incredible contempt the Republicans have for her is mind-boggling. And Lindsay Graham is crazy. I'm sorry. He's nuts. At the end of the hearing, Dianne Feinstein rebutted all the testimony, not testimony, but commentary from the other senators, the Republican senators, that she held off this hearing playing games until the last minute, and that it was, I think Lindsey Graham said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen, in so many words. But at the end of the hearing, after she said, look, I didn't leak it. I didn't leak the letter from Dr. Ford. And John Cornyn jumped in and pretty much said that she did. It had to come out of her office. And he said, why don't you ask your staff? And she said, I just did. Because her staff was right behind her. And she said, we didn't leak it. But there was testimony by Dr. Ford that she told everything to her friends in order to get some advice on hiring a lawyer and whether to go through with it and all kinds of other things. And obviously, apparently, one of her friends called the Washington Post. And John Cornyn, who I have no respect for anyway, I knew him in Texas, had nothing else to say. These Democratic senators all owe Dianne Feinstein an apology for their vicious and unfounded attacks on her. And it would have seemed like one of them would have asked her, very simply, why did you leak it? But there's so much hate from the Republicans toward Dianne Feinstein because she's a woman and because she's not going to stand down in front of a man. Now, one of the dynamics of this thing is that the Republicans were relatively respectful of Dr. Ford. I think they were scared to death of the Me Too movement. And so they hired a prosecutor out of Arizona, a female, to question her, and that was a joke. I mean, that was just a lot of nothing. But it kept the Republicans looking like a pack of male dogs attacking Dr. Ford. The whole thing was just absolutely incredible. But what I was getting ready to say is the Republicans softly during the hearing attacked Dr. Ford, but they've been attacking her, John McConnell, Lindsay Graham, all week. And they're also attacking Dianne Feinstein wrongly. And so they really took a double bite of the apple of showing women just how vicious these male Republicans are. I think, who knows how many votes they lost overall in the coming elections. Hundreds of thousands of votes from women, maybe 1 million or more. They cut their own throats. The problem here for the Republicans is Dr. Ford was very credible, totally open, totally out of her element, absolutely was not a Democratic assassin. There was evidence that she'd been dealing with this all her life, and certainly openly in 2012 in marriage counseling. She was extremely credible, extremely open, totally open to the FBI investigating her and everything that was said. Kavanaugh amazed me in the beginning with his opening remark and just how deep and significant his resume is. He scored a lot of points opening up, put some emotion in there. He absolutely turned the Supreme Court into a partisan battleground now. But after the questioning began, he came apart like a cheap watch. Kept repeating the same thing. Maybe Trump gave it to him. Hey, all the witnesses sent in letters, said there was no such party. All kinds of women saying nothing ever happened with them. And the most incredible thing to me was his total disrespect for the Democrats that questioned him. His bias and anger could not be hidden. That alone disqualifies him for a Supreme Court justice. He's saying, look, I'm going to support a Republican ticket, and I got the impression that he was going to tank every Democratic issue that came to the court. Totally biased, totally disrespectful. Incredible after being in Washington as long as he had, and based on the resume he had, for him to be that disrespectful to the Democratic senators. most especially Dianne Feinstein, when Kavanaugh was talking about how important his mother it was in his life, and how proud he was of her. And then Dianne Feinstein, who looks like she's about the same age as his mother, he's attacking her like a cur dog. I don't know how he thought he was going to get away with that kind of disrespect. It was also obvious to me that he felt like he had a circle of friends going back to teenage times that were going to protect him. And obviously it was easy for him to come up with all kinds of support to send to the committees. But I think he really felt that these bad acts of his from all three women, he felt he could dodge that bullet. And if he just stopped at his opening statements, maybe he would have. He really looked impressive with his opening statements. A little too emotional, maybe a little bit too political, but a very significant resume. But under questioning, it would seem like in all the years that he practiced law and the years that he's a judge, he would have learned something from the lawyers practicing in front of him. But the problem is, as a judge, there's an arrogance. And he just was not going to be shift into the role, I guess you would say, of an attorney, like all the attorneys that come in front of him, and he's the king. He just couldn't step down to that level. Is he a drunk? Yeah, I think that became pretty clear. He's a drunk. And as belligerent as he was in his hearing, I can well imagine that with an alcohol problem, he could get very abusive and physically abusive and physically threatening. It was totally incredible that he would indicate that, yes, I'm a heavy drinker, but no, I never pass out, and I never am not aware of what's going on. And even his friend said, yeah, he's a heavy drinker. Sometimes people can have a good career like his, a stellar career, and over on the side, or in their past, they got some really dark stuff. I don't know how many women that he's caused anxiety to and hurt their lives. I don't know, but I'll bet it's a lot. Has he done anything since he was 20? Maybe not. I think he's too busy, or was too busy after that, to go crazy partying like he did when he was younger. His friend, Mark Judge, which is an interesting name in his situation, is a total wreck who's obviously got some significant problems, and probably with a little pressure from the FBI would spill his guts and purge his soul and say, yes, yeah, he got on top of Dr. Ford and he was out of his mind. I think that Dr. Ford's statement that her prime memory was Kavanaugh on top of her, hurting her, suffocating her, and he and Judge having a gay old time. Kavanaugh's gone. Trump will pull him out of the race probably tonight in the morning at 3 a.m. Trump loves his midnight terminations. Sad, but I think it's over. And the Democrats are going to get to fill the judgeship based on the timing now. Have a good evening. Thank you for your consideration.